Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurin Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
There are literally thousands of kirtans composed by the devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his glorification, of which most of us in ISKCON know a few of them. Parama Karana Pahundvi Jana Nitai Gaura Chandra Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Karamore. Many devotees know this. This Jodi Gaurana Hoito Tobe Ki Hoito Kemani Dharitamde is very famous among Bengali Gauriya Vaishnavas who are born in Bengal. This song is printed in the front, in big letters, in the edition of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, which was produced by Srila Bhakti Saraswati Thakur. As in a nutshell, it gives the reasons for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance. Who is this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, in his old age when he could hardly see or he described he can hardly he can hardly move his fingers, and he took so much trouble to write such a big book, physically and intellectually also. It's an amazing achievement with verses, several hundred Sanskrit verses quoted, and you see Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is a tremendous scholar and glorifying Chaitanya Mahaprabhu so beautifully. And this book, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, has become the definitive exposition of the glories and teachings of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, by Srila Prabhupada's grace, translated into English, and from English into so many other languages of the world. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur himself, who was a highly learned devotee. I mean, when we say highly learned, we don't even know what learned means. What to speak of highly learned. He's an amazingly erudite person. And of all the many, many books, his personal favorite was the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Nitya Karopan Jaha Hoite Premananda Bhakti Tattva Gyan. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he says, daily drink the nectar of Chaitanya Charitamrita, which means to daily, it's figurative language, that we should daily hear about, think about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That is the nectar. And Chaitanya Charitamrita is the name of the book. So it means daily study, daily read or daily hear Chaitanya Charitamrita, from which you will get Jaha Hoite Premananda. Certainly one will experience the bliss of love of Krishna, and also get definitive knowledge of the process of devotional service. That Chaitanya Charitamrita, hearing about the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we were just singing, Pashu Pakhi Jure Pashana Bidare Shuni Jara Gunagata. By hearing of the qualities of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even the birds cry and the rock melts. We didn't see such things. We can't imagine such things. But Lochandas Thakur is describing that the animals and the birds, they weep and the stone melts upon hearing about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And even more wonderful than that, we may think, well, how is that possible? Well, people in India thought that it was impossible that people in the Western countries could become Krishna conscious. Before Prabhupada went to the West, they would say, what are you doing? Why are you wasting your time going to the... Even in India, people aren't interested in Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So how are they going to become interested in the Western countries? Where in India people are pious. They know the value of Ganga, of Go, of the cow, of Govinda. They, at least superficially or to some extent, they know what is dharma. They have a natural attraction for worshipping Krishna. Then what to speak in the Western countries where people are animal killers, cow eaters. Then how is it possible? It's not possible. They surmised using logic. It's a logical deduction that if the pious people of India are not taking interest in Krishna Chaitanya, then the people of the Western countries, then there's no hope for them to take any interest. But Srila Prabhupada had firm faith in Gauravani, in the words of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Priti vite ache jatanagaradi gram sabatra pracha hoibe moranam, that Krishna consciousness will be preached all over the world as predicted by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as ordered by his own Guru, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur had said, very soon the day will come when the Russians, Prussians, French, Americans, English, they will all join together with the people of our country and embrace them and chant Jai Sachinandana, Jai Sachinandana. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur predicted, and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur established the movement for spreading the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He sent devotees to preach in the Western countries. He sent them to England, and he wanted them to go on, if possible, to America. But factually that was done by Srila Prabhupada, who had faith that Pashu Pakhi Jure, if the animals and birds can cry and the stone will melt, then the stone-hearted people, only stone-hearted people eat cows. They can also chant Hare Krishna and cry, which became a common thing when Chaitanya Charitamrita was first published. That I was in England at the time when first of all Srila Prabhupada published Adi Leela Part 2. Actually, first of all he published chapter 7, the Pancha Tattva, Lord Chaitanya in 5 features. He first of all published that. I don't know exactly why, but I think because he was smashing Mayapur. So he brought that out first, and then the next few chapters were published as Adi Leela Part 2, and then Prabhupada published Adi Leela Part 1, which we hope you've all read it. If you haven't read it, who has not read all of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita? Oh, you're cheating yourselves. You're spoiling your human life. So tomorrow is the new year, the first Pahila Gaurabda of the year. Which year is it? I don't know. 521. So you all please take a vow to read Chaitanya Charitamrita before next Gaur Purnima. Who's going to do that? Remember, this is the holy Dham. You have to do it. Okay, so all of you have to purchase, if you don't have it, a full set of Chaitanya Charitamrita and read it with the purports. So now I'm become your well-wisher. You will find out. So these 2 volumes came out. And then Prabhupada's order came, published all the books which are pending. 18 volumes in 2 months. Impossible! Impossible is a word in a fool's dictionary. So all the volumes, there was 15 pending volumes of Chaitanya Charitamrita and 3 of Srimad Bhagavatam, something like that. So they all got published and they all came, all the volumes. And we got 1 set in England, and first the GBC got it, the rule was you have 1 day to read 1 volume. And though it was in seniority order. Who's most senior gets the first volume, and then like that. So all the senior devotees, they vanished for 2 weeks or so while they were reading Chaitanya Charitamrita. So one of my senior godbrothers, I saw him one evening coming out of the room which he'd been locked in all day, reading Chaitanya Charitamrita, crying. And I said, why are you crying? And he's holding Chaitanya Charitamrita. He said, if you read Chaitanya Charitamrita and you don't cry, then you're not a devotee. So you've all got a lot of crying to do now. That's the natural effect. Pashu Paki Jure Pashana Bidore Shuni Jara Gunagata. That even the stones will melt, even the stone heart will melt, and even the birds and the animals will cry upon hearing the glories of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this song, Jadi Gaura Hoito Tobe Ki Hoito Kemani Dharitam De, is a very famous song among Bengali Vaishnavas, and we can all learn this also. We have so many things to do in our busy lives. Kali Yuga, everything is designed for forgetting Krishna. Even people don't know Krishna, but they're very busy finding out more and more ways to forget Him. And it's the duty of the devotees to remind everyone about Krishna. So we have many duties to perform in Krishna consciousness for spreading this movement, but we also have to become nourished ourselves by regularly drinking the nectar of Chaitanya Charitamrita. So at the beginning of Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the Gaura Math edition, this song is there. Jadi Gaur na hoito. It's the author Basu Ghosh, Basudev Ghosh, Sanjaya Mukunda Vasu Ghosh Adi Gai. We sing his name in the Gaur Arati Kirtan. The brothers, the Ghosh brothers, Basudev Ghosh, he composed this song. So he is expressing something unthinkable. What if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu hadn't come? To him it's unthinkable. It's like, what if the sun never rose? It's just, for the devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it's unthinkable that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could not have come. So, but he's putting the proposition, Jadi Gaurna Hoito, Tobe Ki Hoito. What would have happened if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had not come? Kemane Dharitam De. How could we have lived? Chaitanya means consciousness or life force. Prabhupada, in the preface to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the introduction, this is originally delivered as 5 morning lectures in New York in 1967. So the first words of this introduction, Prabhupada writes, the word Chaitanya means living force. It's a very technical way of... Charit means character and Amrita means immortal. It's a very technical way of describing what is the meaning of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Srila Prabhupada writes, the word Chaitanya Charitamrita may be translated as the character of the living force in immortality. So, Basu Ghosh says, what would have happened if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had not come? How could we have lived? We wouldn't be living, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is the life force. He is everyone in this world. Achaitanya midang vishvam. Everyone is lifeless because they don't know Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Everyone who appears to be alive is actually just a zombie, a walking dead man, because they are achaitanya. And the devotees, they are alive. What is the difference between these zombies and the devotees? The difference is that they know Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nahe Anna Rupa Noga Janera Jivan. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Radha and Krishna combined, and he is the life of the devotees who follow Rupa Goswami. And Rupa Goswami follows Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the life of the devotees is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's why Raghunath Das Goswami, after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left this world, he thought, now there's no more need to live, so I should die. Although he was a young man. He thought, there's no use to maintain this body. That's exactly what Basu Ghosh says. That Jodi Gaura hoito tobe ki hoito kemani dharitamde. How could we, he literally says, how could we maintain our body? How could we hold our bodies together? So Raghunath Das Goswami thought, I'll commit suicide by the Vaishnav method of jumping off the top of Govardhan Hill. So I'll go to Vrindavan and offer my respects to Rup and Sanatan, the Goswamis, and then I'll leave this world. There's no point in living here after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has left. So he went there, and Rup and Sanatan Goswamis, they said, don't leave this world, you stay here. And you are living with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He sent us here to Vrindavan. We wanted to stay with him, but he sent us here to perform service to him in Vrindavan. But we never saw the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So you tell us. So Raghunath Das Goswami maintained his life. He remained alive not by eating. He didn't eat. Practically he didn't eat and he didn't sleep. But by reciting the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he remained within this world, and Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami also heard that, and he collected, in his own words, he collected the remnants of the nectar of Chaitanya Leela that was distributed by Raghunath Das Goswami, Rupa and Raghunath, and he collected that, and that is Chaitanya Charitamrita. So Basu Ghosh says, how could we have survived if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had not come? Why? What's so special about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? There's so many devotees. In India, people think Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was a devotee. He was part of the Bhakti Renaissance. At that time, approximately that time, the medieval period, as it's translated in English, Madhya Yuga. In India, there was Kabir and Mirabai and Tulsidas and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was part of the Bhakti Renaissance. There was a renaissance in the Western world, which was actually re-nescience. But there was a renaissance of Bhakti in the Eastern, in India. So they think Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was he was one of the devotees. So he gets a mention in the history books. He gets a line or two, or a mention. But they don't know that who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is Radha and Krishna combined. They don't even know who are Radha and Krishna. They've heard of Krishna, the 9th avatar of Vishnu, they think. They don't know Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam. The Gauriyas, they know Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They know that Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan. No one else even knows that. What to speak of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Radha and Krishna. They don't know. They don't know. In Bengal and Orissa, there's some idea. Basu Ghosh has given that idea clearly. That who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? What has he come to give? Radhar Mahima Prema Rasha Shima Jagate Janatoke. That Radhar Mahima. What are the glories of Radha? There are many Vaishnavas are not common in this world. And Vaishnavas, they glorify Krishna or Vishnu. So there are many persons who have glorified Vishnu in his various avatars, but they don't know the glories of Radha. It's an enigma that how Vishnu, who comes dharma samsthapanarthaya, for the sake of establishing dharma, in his avatar as Krishna, so they think, appears to act in a manner which is not dharmic. It appears to be immoral. And therefore, most of the previous acharyas, they have not commented on Radha Krishna Lila. Or even they touch it. Vallabhacharya touches it, but he doesn't go into depth. He's a worshipper of Bal Gopal, baby Krishna. Nimbarka Sampradaya, they worship Radha Govinda. Radha also. But they don't have the insights that Chaitanya, they don't elaborate much on what is Radha Krishna Lila. Or as Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, they have some knowledge of Ras Lila, but they don't know the topmost Lila. What's the topmost Lila? Surya Kund. The Surya Puja. The midday, not the midnight pastimes. The midday pastimes. According to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So they don't have knowledge of that. So knowledge of Vishnu in this world is rare. Bahunam janmanamante, jnanavam mam prapadyante, vasudeva sarvamiti, samahatma sudurlava. It's very rare to find someone who can understand who is Vasudeva. Vasudeva means Vishnu, all-pervading personality. Such a great person is very rare. And then to understand that Krishna is not simply an avatar of Vishnu, but he is avatari. He is the source of all avatars. That is unknown even amongst most Vaishnavas. And then he's avatari, and he appears with non-different from him Radha. And Radha Krishna Lila is not simply an embarrassment to those who are devotees of the speaker of Bhagavad Gita, but rather it is the very purpose of Krishna's whole existence. That Krishna, he is the life of everything that exists, but he himself cannot live without Radha. This is unknown to the world. It's Krishna's private affairs, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come. Anarpitya chiring chirat karunyavatirno kalo samapyatamuntatvala rasasra bhakti sriyam. He's come to broadcast that which is not really meant for broadcasting. Krishna's personal affairs is not meant for broadcasting among the Dino, Hino, Joto, Chilo, the Papi, Tapi, fallen, even among very highly elevated persons. Krishna's private affairs, it's meant for very special inner circle devotees, antaranga, bhaktas. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to distribute this, to make known the glories of Radharani, by which the actual glories of Krishna can be known. The true glories of Krishna is not that he's the speaker of Bhagavad Gita, the killer of Kamsa, the killer of so many demons. His true glories are not that he's the creator, the maintainer, and the destroyer of unlimited universes. His true glory, only the Gauriyas, the Gauriya Vaishnavas, can be bold enough to say what other Vaishnavas will consider to be blasphemy. That Krishna's glory is that he is favored by the dust of the lotus feet of Radharani. Others will consider this to be blasphemy. Oh, he's supreme, and he's begging for the dust of the lotus feet of Radharani. How can you say that? That is, what is the actual glory of Krishna? Even most Vaishnavas, because they have there's so much locked into the concept of Krishna being supreme, which is a fact. But Krishna, his own supremacy is defeated by the love of Radharani for him. Therefore, he must come as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Radha bhavit yuti suvalitam nomi Krishna swarupa. He is obliged. He loses control of his senses. He cannot control what he has to do, how he should behave, what he should do in the presence of Radha, who is dhira. He becomes adhira in the presence of Radharani. So Krishna himself, to understand what is his own sweetness, what is the happiness that Radharani experiences in Krishna's presence, or thinking of Krishna, or being with Krishna. Krishna is obliged to come as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to taste his own sweetness, which is only understandable by Srimati Radharani. So the proof that Radha is superior to Krishna, which is only accepted or acceptable by the Gauriyas, that is proved by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's very existence. Once Srila Prabhupada, there was some argument going on between two of Prabhupada's disciples. Which form is supreme, Krishna or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Some argument was going on, because Krishna is supreme and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes as his devotee. And a devotee is subordinate to the Prabhu, to the Lord. So some discussion was going on, because Chaitanya, he is avatari, avatar sa, Chaitanya avatar. He is non-different from Krishna. So some discussion was going on. Is Krishna superior, Chaitanya? Which form is superior? Prabhupada pointed to a picture of Krishna bowing down at the lotus feet of Radha and said that Radha is supreme, not Krishna. Not Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Radha is superior because Krishna has to come as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to understand the position of Radha. So this is Radha Mahima, to proclaim the glories of Radharani by himself being forced to take the Gaura Swarup, the Krishna Varnam Tvishar Krishna, the Krishna who is Shama Sundar, is obliged to take the form of Gaura Sundar, to taste the sweetness of Radharani and to broadcast that. Radha Mahima Prema Rasashima, the glories of Radharani. What are the glories? She's not creating, maintaining and destroying millions of universes. She's not the one who most rishis and demigods, who is that? The demigods, they are praying to Krishna, they don't pray to Radha. So what is her power? Her greatness is Prema Rasha Shima. She's the ultimate limit. There's no limit to her love for Krishna. But it's said like that. She's the ultimate limit. She is. There's no words to explain. She's Prem Swarupini, Mahabhav Swarupini. So Jagate Janatoke, who could have described this to the world? Who is going to describe this? Even great acharyas like Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, they did so much benefit for the world, but they could not enter into this. They could not describe this. Only Krishna himself. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in the mood of Radha, but he's also Krishna, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nahayana. Only Krishna himself can describe the glories of Radha. So he has come to do that. This is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to give. What is that Prema Rasa Shima? Madhura Brinda Bipina Madhuri Prabesha Chaturi Shah. What is the ultimate perfection of spiritual life? To engage. We have these terms. Prapatti, Paricharya, Kainkarya. These are terms which are much used in the Sri Vaishnava or Ramanuja Sampradaya. Prapatti means surrender. Paricharya means service. Kainkarya means also personal service. So these are the aspirations of the devotees, very elevated aspirations. But the aspiration of the Gauriya Vaishnavas is to enter into Vrindavan, the beautiful groves of Vrindavan. That is the Prabesha Chaturisha. That is the ultimate, or that is the essence of all Chaturi. I mean, it's expertise, or whatever it means. Then, why is that? Because Barajaya Jubati Bhavera Bhakati. The bhav, the feelings of the young cowherd girls of Vrindavan, not big scholars, not great rishis, not even not well behaved from the worldly point of view, not very cultured, but their love for Krishna is incomparable. So much so that even Krishna in Dwaraka, he's surrounded by his loving devotees. He's living in all opulence, but he's not happy because he's thinking of Vrindavan. How I left Vrindavan. Vrindavanam parityaja napadam ekam gacchati. Krishna cannot leave Vrindavan. He leaves, he goes to Mathura, he goes to Dwaraka, but his heart is not in it. He's going through the motions of being Rukminish, of being Dwarakadhish. So, what are the feelings of the gopis who insult Krishna, who slap Krishna? This is not to be broadcast. The demons, they insult Krishna. That should not be publicized. It's too private. But then if it's not publicized, then no one will be aware of what are the actual glories. They think the Supreme Lord is happy just sitting on a throne and giving benedictions. But He's happy wandering in the fields of Vrindavan with the cows, searching where are the gopis, dancing with His cowherd friends. This is His glory. His glory is not that as we conceive His majesty, His power, His opulence, but His love for His devotees. And their love for Him is even more. Who could tell this? Ramanuja, Acharya, great Vaishnava, we bow down at his lotus feet 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times, 1,000,000,000 times. But even he knew, but he didn't say. Madhvacharya knew, but he didn't say. Nimbarka, Vishnu Swami, they knew, but they didn't say. At Sri Chaitanya Math, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has established Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with Gandharvika is a name for Radharani. She who is expert in all the arts for pleasing Krishna, and Giridhari. So the temple is there, and it's in a circular Garbhagriha or deity room. You can do parikrama And you'll see, as you do parikrama, in 4 directions. There are the 4 Sampradaya Acharyas, Nimbarka Swami, Vishnu Swami, Madhvacharya, Ramanuja. So they're all great devotees. They're facing different angles. They all give different angles on Krishna consciousness. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was in his youth a great mathematician. He was well known as an astrologer. Nowadays, to do astrology, you just pick up teach yourself in 3 days astrology book, get a program, type something in the computer, and you're an astrologer. But previously one had to be expert in mathematics to do calculations, astronomy, and Sanskrit. It's not something for someone with half a brain, but with someone with at least 1.5 brains. So he was a great mathematician, so he often used to give examples in mathematical terms. So he said that other acharyas, they gave a conception of Krishna 180 degrees. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's conception, he's giving 360 degrees. Krishna is Purna Bhagavan, Swayam Bhagavan Krishna Ekali Ishvar. He is the full manifestation or revelation of the personality of Godhead. And other concepts of Him, they are incomplete. So the complete revelation of the complete personality of Godhead is that He is subordinate to His devotees, and so much subordinate that they can insult Him, throw yogurt in His face, and He's very happy. This is His happiness. His happiness is not sitting on a throne. His happiness is swinging with Radha in the groves of Vrindavan. So, Basu Ghosh says, Gau Gau Puna, again and again, chant the names, the guna, the qualities of Gauranga, tell everyone. But one cannot do this unless Sharala Kariyama. One has to give up, as Lochandas Thakur says. Bhaja Bhaja Bhai Chaitanya Nitai Sujira Bishakari Bishoy Chare. One cannot actually glorify Chaitanya Mahaprabhu unless one gives up any other desires than those to glorify Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One has to give up desires for personal sense gratification. There's no sense gratification, no mundane sense gratification in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings. E Baba Shagar, Emana Dayala na dekhi. In this world of birth and death, who is merciful? People are so unlucky, so poor-minded, that they think that someone who treats the bodies and bandages poor people, sick people, they're a great saint. In Calcutta, there was one great saint who died recently. She was famous as a great saint for her work among the poor of Calcutta, even though she was able to help just a few people, and hundreds of thousands more remained poor. And even the poor people she put bandages on, they also had to die achaitanya, without knowledge of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So they have the idea that someone is very good if they help others. Red Cross, Red Crescent, if you're in a Muslim country. Or Save the Whale, the Royal Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. In Britain there's a society in which they have homes for dogs, for stray dogs. They make homes for them, and it's funded by people who every day eat cows. So they don't know what is compassion. They have an idea that compassion is good, but they don't know what is actual compassion. The compassion that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has that it's not even comparable. People have to learn the meaning of words before they can even begin to understand what is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's gift. The word compassion, they have to completely get a revamped intelligence to begin to understand. People say, often people ask, what are you doing to help people? You're just jumping up and down and singing? Why don't you do something to help people? Open a home for dogs, or open a home for poor people. Why don't you do something to help people? They have no idea that this chanting and dancing, that as Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, even the neophyte devotees ringing the bell in the temple once, in the temple of Krishna once, is millions of times more valuable, not only spiritually, but even materially, than opening millions of hospitals and so-called schools. Because there's no actual value in opening hospitals and schools, to opening hospitals so people can get healthy, to perform more sense gratification and go deeper into hell. Better they died, because then they won't go so deeply into hell if they don't have knowledge of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So people have no idea. They have to learn. They have to get a new dictionary. That also Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. One scholar sarcastically asked him that the meaning that you're giving to the words, where do you get the meanings from? Because what you say is compassion, we say something else. What you say is love, we say something else. Where do you get all these meanings from? What is yours? What is your dictionary? He said, the dictionary is my Guru's lotus feet. This dictionary is illiterate, supposed to be illiterate Guru, the meanings that he took from him. This also, he saw that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur thought, I'm very learned, I know so much, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur sent me to Gaura Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, who's illiterate. He should be very happy to have me as a disciple. But when he saw me, he didn't give a damn for me. Everyone respects me. Oh, Vimala Prasad, Siddhanta Saraswati, very learned, very moral, very truthful, very aristocratic. And Gaura Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj didn't care for him at all. Will you give me initiation? No. Will you give me initiation? I'll have to ask Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Come back after some time. Comes back again. What did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu say? I forgot to ask him. He didn't care for him at all. This is how Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur described. It's Leela between two great devotees. Then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said that seeing my Guru Maharaj, that he didn't give a damn for anything that I or everyone else in the world considered to be valuable. Therefore I could understand that if he considers all these things completely useless, what has he got that makes everything else in the world to him totally insignificant? What is it that he has got? So that what he has got is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give. And we are going on with our mundane concepts of liberality, goodness, compassion. People don't understand. They have to be educated. ABC. And when you reach the end of your knowledge, what is Shastra, then alright, now you learned all Shastra, now we accept Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, now I know everything. Bahunam Jammanamante, Jnanavamam Prabhadite, Vasudeva Sarvamiti. Now I became a Mahatma, I know Krishna is all in all, I know everything. You don't know. You don't know about Radha Krishna. Now the education begins. That was all kindergarten. Now the education begins, says Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Basu Ghosh has realized what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to give. And the scholars will say, oh, this is Bengali. You see, it's all in Bengali. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Basu Ghosh's songs, Bhaktivinoda Thakur It's all Bengali. You see, they don't even know Sanskrit. So Jiva Goswami wrote so many books in Sanskrit. All the Goswamis, they wrote so many books in Sanskrit, just so the big scholars can be impressed. Oh, very good. They know also. But actually, everything in Chaitanya Charitamrita, everything, all the teachings of the Goswami, everything is there. It's in simple Bengali. Of course, Sanskrit is also meant for glorifying the Supreme Lord. We're not against Sanskrit. But the idea that the truth of Chaitanya Tattva can only be brought, or knowledge of Shastra can only be broadcast in Sanskrit, it's another misconception. So, Prema Rasha Shrima Jagadam Basu Ghosh, he says, but considering his own misfortune in his humility, he says that I didn't chant the glories of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. How am I staying alive? I feel my heart must be made of stone. Lord Brahma must have made my heart of stone, because I have no taste for glorifying Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is the humility of the devotees. So now we have sankalpa, or a vow, a pledge. The word is a pledge to read Chaitanya Charitamrita. We have to distribute that also. Now we've come here, another year is over, New Year is beginning tomorrow, Gaurabda. So the duties of the devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are to fulfill his desire. Prithivite ache jato nagaradi gram savatra pracha hoibe morna. That his name should be preached in every town and village of the world. Srila Prabhupada preached Krishna consciousness all over the world. We are all coming here by the grace of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada very much wanted that all his followers, they dedicate their lives in preaching the glories of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu throughout the world. Our reading of Chaitanya Charitamrita will be full and complete and actual and successful if by reading we don't only cry, but when we're walking on the street and we say, why everyone else is not crying? Why are they not remembering Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? And we take the initiative to take Srila Prabhupada's books and glorify Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Let people know about Radha and Krishna, or at least beginning Bhagavad Gita and the glories of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And I'm pretty sure my time's up. You want me to continue? All right. Question, please. Please come and speak it loudly and I'll repeat it in the mic.
I can go for the
Yeah, please call him.
What is the difference of the teachings of Srila Prabhupada to
The question is, what is the difference between the teachings of Srila Prabhupada about the teachings of Lord Chaitanya? The relationship between Radha and Krishna? Or that Lord Chaitanya is Radha and Krishna? With the other Gauriya Vaishnavas. There is no difference. Prabhupada isn't teaching something different. If he was teaching something different, then he wouldn't be a Gauriya Vaishnava. Don't go anywhere else except him, otherwise you'll become confused. Well, there are Gauriyas and there are Upper Sampradayas also, but they're not considered bona fide Gauriyas. How to approach this knowledge? It's not something we jump into without understanding the basic philosophy of Bhagavad Gita. So Srila Prabhupada gave us a structured approach, as is suggested by Rupa Goswami, Ado Shraddha Tata Sadhu Sangha, Atat Bhajana Kriya, Tato Nartana Vrittisya, Tato Nishtas, Ruchistata, Atasaktis Tato Bhava, Tato Premabhyudanchati, Sadha Kanam Ayam Premna, Pradur Bhave Bhavet Kramaha. Bhavet Kramaha, Pradur Bhave Bhavet Kramaha. From Shraddha to Prem, all the steps in between, they gradually appear step by step, says Rupa Goswami. So Prabhupada taught us step by step. I just gave a seminar the last 4 days on the preface to the Nectar of Instruction, in which I was attempting to demonstrate how if you read Prabhupada's books very carefully, you'll find that he is giving the highest teachings. You read the preface, read the first 3 lines of the preface to the Nectar of Instruction, and you'll understand that Prabhupada is giving the highest instructions. But then at the end of the preface, he says we have to follow the process very strictly. Neophyte devotees have to follow these instructions very strictly. That will help us to advance in Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada is kind enough not to give us more than we can digest. He's given us everything, but we have to know how to take it. If you're eating your meal, then first of all you're supposed to take hot, spicy, salty things. That induces the digestion. If you take heavy ghee, sweets in the beginning, it kills your digestion. It might taste nice, but it kills your digestion. And if you eat only that, then you'll get indigestion. So there's a process how to eat by which you can digest everything very nicely. There's a process how to come to understanding of Radha and Krishna, which Prabhupada quotes in the preface to the Nectar of Instruction, that Rupa Raghunatha Pade Hoibe Akuti Tobe Ama Bhujbo Se Jugal Piriti. Please read it. Yeah, you have a question. If you want, you can get the CD when it's issued. I think it's going to be issued on the internet soon, of that preface to the Nectar of Instruction. It's available already. I just finished speaking last night. That's quick. It's available here. 30 rupees. Damn cheap. I hope it's clear. Hare Krishna. But you're standing in the mic waiting to speak, and then when you came to speak, you came away from the mic. This is not a sign of practical intelligence. It seems that you are overwhelmed with love of Krishna. It's not working. All right. I am lacking intelligence. Practical intelligence. All right. Did you switch it on? Sound? Mystery? Mystery? Kotai Galo? It's working. All right. Before that, you have to read the whole Srimad Bhagavatam. Very good observation. If you have a TV set, sell it and buy all of Prabhupada's books. People see you rushing. I don't have time. Stop, I don't have time. Why, what are you doing? I have to go home and read Prabhupada's books. Don't waste time.
We don't cry when we read Chaitanya Charitamrita. We understand we're not qualified to read it. How can we?
We should cry that we're not crying. And if you don't cry that you're not crying, you should cry that you're not crying that you're not crying. Jayapatana Maharaj used to give classes like that. And if you don't cry that you don't cry that you don't cry that you don't cry that, you have to count. And then next time round, then you should cry and one more you add each time. So pray for the mercy. But actually it's a fact. If we read, if our heart, if we're not committed to have stone hearts, if we've not taken a pledge that I shall not cry, if we're not followers of the rascal mundane scholars, then we will cry on reading Chaitanya Charitamrita. If we have association of devotees, then definitely the heart will melt to some extent. Only if we associate with people who try to measure, they try to quantify Chaitanya Mahaprabhu according to they want to get a PhD from the university by making a thesis on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Prabhupada writes that in the Chaitanya Charitamrita purport, he writes, mundane scholars cannot understand Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One should get a PhD from Ramananda Rai. Take your PhD from him. Of course, it may be that a devotee goes into the stool pit of the mundane universities to get out of compassion for the demons.